Hi everyone, welcome to a recording of a quick demo of the new features of Board 9. My name's Steve Furhad, I'm a Client Engagement Leader here at Professional Advantage, and I'm joined by Graham Worrell, who's an Applications Consultant.
Hi everyone.
Hey. Today, a few months ago, Board released version 9.0, and we just wanted to give you a sneak peek around some of the cool features. There are a few really quick things that we'd like to show you that we think have made a big difference with the Board 9.0 product. Predominantly things like visualization of data. I think in the past that's something that Board has not done great, or there are other products out there that have done it reasonably well.
Yeah.
And I think this release of Board version 9.0 goes a long way into, I guess, addressing some of those visualization queries. And we're talking about, I guess, predominantly handing Board to the non-finance user and really having data stick out for them and really be clear so they can compare data. A couple of features that we thought we'd run through really quickly. The first one is we'll talk about mobility. We'll go through a new mapping feature, which is really cool if you're representing data on a map. Perhaps you want to see where your customers are located or where your revenue's coming from. We'll go through some new chart features, then talk you through in-memory cluster, which is nerdy but good, and then we'll cover off Nexcel, which is I guess really infusing Board with some Excel type features. So, Graham, do you want to just start off with the geomapping and just show us an example of what that looks like? I know you've got a bit of a demo environment set up here.
Yep, that's right, Steve. I've got a geomap set up here, so if I just go into that, you'll see that it renders the screen. And I'll just reset it back so you get everything on screen. So you can see here it's showing the whole of the United States with all the points for the data. But what I can do is just resize it by using another selection criteria. So if I go to more than 50k, it will only show me those points. And if I go to specials, it will only show me the 2 points. And it resizes the map down to its best size for the area that it's got to fit. But what I can also do then is scroll in to certain areas. So let's just scroll in towards Kansas. And then you can hover over the data points as well at any time and see what values are making them up. There's 20 levels on the scrolling, so you can go all the way down to Street View. Or again, you can come out all the way so you have a global view, if you want to, rather than taking the size, which is resized.
Right. Is it difficult to set up the positions on this?
No, that's straightforward. What would happen is normally with this kind of information, let's say it's cost centers that you're putting there. What you would do is with that entity, you'd set up a cube which has that entity, and it's just called latitude, for example, latitude of cost center and longitude of cost center. So you just have those two cubes, which would then give you your position on the map. The best way to get your positions is there's free software online where you can plug in your location and it will give you the latitude and longitude which you require.
Right. So, I mean, you consult to clients. Where do you think this would come in handy? Where would you use this sort of functionality? This
would come in handy when trying to, as you said before, analyse where your sales are coming from, who's causing cost centres, who's bringing you the most revenue. So that way then you can see an area breakdown of where your streams are coming from.
Right. So maybe where your customers are, what value of revenue is coming from where, perhaps if you've got different offices around the world and you want to see how each office is performing, this is a nice visual.
Yes, it also gives you a visual against each other, because if we come out and give you the maximum view again, you will see that there's different size circles which show different information. There's even red ones to show if it's below a certain value.
Right, okay. And do you need to subscribe to a particular mapping service or anything, or is there free ways of doing this?
Board is set up to use OpenStreetMaps, which is a free mapping solution. It can be configured to use Google. However, depending on what you're using it for, there might be a licensing cost which Google would apply to you. So you'd have to ask Google about your particular business need, and it may be free, but there may be a charge from their point of view.
Excellent. All right. There are quite a few new charts, I guess, that really improve that visualization of data. There's a handful that you've got, I guess, prepared in a demo. Do you want to walk us through a few of those?
Yeah. So in dashboards here, for example, You've got price effect, which is giving us a percentage of salespeople and the price effect they're having. But what you can do, this is a radar graph, is you can come down and change the chart series. I'll change it to average salesman discount percentage. So on here we can see what discount the salesmen are giving on the products. So from this we can see that McNeil is actually giving a low discount, so that's obviously good from our point of view, whereas Brian is obviously giving a high discount of 45%.
Right, so that's how he's hitting his numbers perhaps.
Yep.
Right.
That's the radar graph. So I'll go on to the time series graph. What the time series graph enables you to do is to change the data of the view at the top. So this is like the overall revenue, or overall turnover, sorry. And you can change how much data you're capturing, and it will affect the graph below, which gives you a more broken down figure by a revenue stream. So you can see where your turnover is coming from in that particular quarter. And you can just drag this around and drop it, which is very nifty.
That's cool. So if you want to really interrogate different parts of that time series, rather than using a drop-down box with period, you can just click on the graph itself. That's a nice handy feature. That looks cool.
Okay. Then in product analysis here, I've got a heat map. And what the heat map does is it shows the data points with varying degrees of brightness. So for example, here's a light one with a minus 45, here's a dark one with a plus 4 million. So you can see there's quite a discrepancy between them, and that's why the colour is so much difference between them. Same on the red side, it's just for a different piece of information. So that's variance versus budget and variance versus current.
So you can control the different colours you use. I mean, red's typically bad, the darker red is the worse, and maybe green or blue might be...
Yep, that's correct. You can just change the colours in here. You can come in and change the colours to whichever colour you like. And again, this scale here just represents the intensity of the colour. So if you say, right, I want it all the way up here, it's only going to show you big discrepancies, so it's only showing that one.
Right.
Whereas normally I try and keep them down to a reasonable level, and you can just adjust this depending on the kind of data you're getting out.
It's a bit of trial and error there just to get the right mix. And that,
just a little tweaking, which you may just want to do every now and again.
Yeah. And again, another really cool way of visualising your data.
Yep. And then in here we've got a tree map. And what this does is just represent the data in an area kind of way. So we can see cash and carry here has 21,000 of actuals, whereas independence here has only 5,000. So that's why cash and carry takes up so much more room on this graph in the southeast. Then you have your middle for another selection.
I can see your sales and marketing type folks really, I guess, understanding these graphs intuitively.
Yes, that's correct. These can also be used with heat maps as well, so you can have colours in there as well. So there is quite a combination you can have of the graphs in this new model.
Cool. So four handy little new visualization tools: the radar map, the time bar, the heat map, and finally the tree map. I guess, again, like we said before, that was somewhat a limitation in previous versions of Board, and we had customers really crying out for better visualization tools for this sort of analytics, and I think they're great.
Yeah, what Board have done is they've introduced a new graphs engine which drives all this. This, of course, gives them more flexibility in what they need to do.
Right. So with the new graphs engine, I'm assuming you don't have to upgrade your old graphs; they'll come across without any problem.
Yeah, when an upgrade occurs, the graphs will work. But if you want to use any of the new functionality of the graphs engine, then you just have to remove the graph and replace it again with a new graph, and that way then it will hook into the new graphs engine and use that functionality.
Right, so if you're going from version 8 to version 9, you can keep the best of your old graphs, and then if there's a few more you want to change to this new visualization, you can do that, or add new graphs as you go.
Yes, that's correct.
Cool. All right, that's a good overview of some of the new graphs. There's lots more, but we wanted to keep this really short. If there's any questions you had, you can contact PA through some contact details we'll show you in a moment. But these are 4 that we looked at that really jumped off the page and impressed us. Excellent. Do you want to talk about Nextel. Now, my understanding in Nextel is you're really infusing board pages with some of the features you get in Excel. That's, I guess, the spirit of it. You want to, I guess, talk us through and show us a quick demo of that?
Yeah. What Nextel enables you to do is, as you said, is to use some spreadsheet functionality within Board. This makes it easier for end users to design and configure reports so that they can get the data out in the best way for them. On here, for example, in layout, in formulas, edit formulas, you can see how these formulas can be derived. So in here it's just looking to column A and adding it in, and that's looking to column A and this one, and it's getting a running total of all sales. Then in this column it's just looking to Brian's net figure and then dividing it by the total. This then gives it the percentage difference. You can, on here, populate it in each cell, and that's what we call deepest entity rule. But you can also have a rule which applies to the whole block, and that's called a single rule.
So am I right in saying that this is, I guess if you've got a non-board expert that wants to get their hand on the data and do some analysis without really mucking up the cubes or writing values into the cube or changing calculations, this would be a handy way of doing that?
Yeah, this is the quicker way to do those kind of calculations and get the information out. It also saves to screen, so as long as you've got permissions to obviously amend layouts, you can do that. It just saves you from having to create more cubes and more procedures, which is what we do in version 8 or version 7 to do it.
Okay. And with this, can you do anything with this data? Can you push this data back into the cube?
Yes, you can push this data back into cubes and have it populating the information so it's easier to draw down in the future if you need to, or if you want to use this calculation in another cube or another formula.
Okay. Alrighty. What's next? What else did you want to show us or talk about perhaps?
Okay, so the mobile app has been improved, so they've come out with a new version of the mobile app. And in Board Mobile, they've enabled it so it supports data entry. So what this means is that you're able to enter data in your mobile and it will automatically go back to Board and be updated so that people back in the office can draw down on information. So if you're a salesman on the road, for example, and you've found a new possibility, you can update that, and then it will be available straight away for people back in the office to see that that's likely to come through in the next month or two.
So a salesperson might update their forecast on the fly. That'd be cool.
Yep. Rapid mobile application development. This is just the fact that we can obviously develop Board, and that will adjust the mobile experience that you will have. So if there's something which you don't like on the screen, or something you want changed, or something you want added, then we can just adjust Board and that will do that change for you. You can obviously share it via links and social networks as well.
So I know a lot of clients are really trying to embrace this mobility. A recent webinar, we saw that 40% of the people on the webinar really, the most, I guess, interesting feature of these new features was the mobile. There's a lot of buzz about that. So this is, I guess, a good improvement moving forward. Yeah,
mobile is definitely the way which it seems to be going. The whole industry is obviously trying to become more mobile, and everything's supposed to be working nice and synchronous.
Yeah, I guess I see a lot of clients really, if you think about the custodians of the data that you'd, I guess, use Board on, say the finance department would look after that. There's a push to really put that data in the hands of the people who can make decisions, and sometimes being in the office is a barrier for that, so that mobility reduces that barrier. People can go and do a bit of analytics on the fly to support a decision they're about to make.
It's also the real time of it, so that the decisions can be made with real time data rather than data which is a week out of sync, for example, which would be quite common for sales data, because obviously they can't always be plugging in their leads and saying where they've lost cases or won them on a case-by-case basis.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we've got a few just high-level points that you're doing this quite rapidly. You're really getting that user adoption happening. and you're really taking and leveraging what you've already got and making that more mobile rather than reinventing the wheel just for this mobile. You get the same sort of features you'd have in the rich client that you'd have rather than having a cut down mobile version. You're getting the whole thing. You can update your forecasts to pretty much everything you can do in the live version.
Yeah, that's correct. There is obviously licensing cost involved with using the mobile, so we would have to obviously see how many mobile licenses you're wanting, and then we could obviously have that conversation with your account manager would be the best person.
Okay.
Okay, so in-memory server clustering, what this enables you to do is to cluster your servers together to run board. So it's a scalable solution, so you can have a large data volume, a lot of servers working together to increase the volume of data which board can hold, and therefore also the speed can be improved by having more servers working on it, so that if you are experiencing any performance issues, we can obviously get around it with this.
And that's really all we had wanted to cover off today. If you are, I guess, watching this and you're interested in understanding what effort is required to go from the version you've got to version 9, what we're offering at the moment is a complimentary health check where one of our consultants will work with you to ask you some questions and perhaps look at your current environment to give you a feel for the effort it would take to upgrade. Now, in our experience, that might be a week or more.
It's usually 3 to 5 days is usual for sites. It can be more, obviously, if you've got a very complex site with a lot of cubes and a lot of entities. It's mainly around those that we have to do some work.
Right. So this is a great way of really understanding how complex that upgrade process would be. Maybe if you're on an older version, it might be a little more complex than if you're on version 8, or if you've got a very complex environment. So if you'd like to take advantage of this assessment, you can contact us at PA. If you know your account manager, then just contact them directly or grab us on these phone or emails that you can see on the screen. Graham, thanks for taking the time to put together a bit of a demo and show our customers what's new in version 9. It's been a pleasure to go through that with you.
Thanks, Steve.
And look forward to sharing more information in the future.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.